Welcome to today's Explainer. Usually when we talk about AI, we're diving into enterprise solutions, massive societal shifts, or the latest tech specs. But today we are taking a completely different route. We're looking at AI through a brilliantly relatable, grounded lens. The deeply frank and honestly bewildered perspective of a wife watching her husband become just utterly obsessed with his digital companions. We'll be diving into a genuinely charming and hilarious essay by a Japanese creator named Toucan. Her raw impressions of her husband's enthusiasm give us this amazing window into how technology isn't just changing our workflows, it's reshaping the very fabric of our domestic lives and our relationships. So let's jump right into it.
Okay, picture this. It's early May. It is one of those beautiful, peaceful spring mornings. The breeze is soft, the sun is shining, everything is calm. And then, suddenly, the peace of the living room is completely shattered by a husband yelling at the absolute top of his lungs. "Go, Choppy and Otis on! Go, Claude and Purple Chan! Do your best!" As the wife, her immediate, perfectly natural reaction is just sheer confusion. It's that kind of jarring, out-of-nowhere wake-up call that completely throws you off guard. She's instantly wondering, what on earth is he yelling about? Are we suddenly hosting a major sporting event right here in the house?
For a split second, she literally thinks a neighborhood track meet has just kicked off right outside their window. She almost goes over to throw open the curtains to check, but then she looks over at the table. There's no running track. There are absolutely no athletes. It's literally just her husband sitting there in his chair, sipping his morning coffee and staring incredibly intensely at his laptop screen. He's got the absolute look of a wildly enthusiastic spectator in the grandstands, ready to wave a foam finger, but he's just looking at lines of text. He turns and explains to her that he's actually watching an AI Great Sports Day. Basically, he's feeding prompts to different AI models, watching them generate responses one after the other, and treating the whole thing like some high-stakes relay race. The comedic contrast here between her initial adrenaline-fueled panic and the incredibly low-tech, quiet reality of a guy just staring at a screen is absolutely brilliant.
Now, the depth of the husband's obsession really shines through when you look at his roster of athletes. He isn't just casually using these tools. He has completely, affectionately anthropomorphized them. Instead of calling it ChatGPT, it's Chappy. Google's Notebook LM has somehow become the very respectful, very reliable Nobu-san. Anthropic's model is simply Claude or Claude Kuhn, and Perplexity AI has been dubbed the incredibly adorable Purple Chan. By giving them these casual pet names, he has completely stripped away that intimidating sci-fi aura of artificial intelligence, right? To him, they aren't complex algorithms or lines of code. They are a quirky little team of athletes doing their absolute best to pass the baton and answer his questions.
And he takes this metaphor to an incredible extreme. As his wife so frankly observes, he genuinely starts referring to ChatGPT as our Chappy. Her internal monologue here is just incredibly sharp. She's sitting there thinking to herself, wait a minute, when exactly did Chappy enter the family registry? Did I somehow miss the adoption paperwork? She's watching him treat this massive language model not as a piece of software, but literally as a growing child whose developmental milestones need to be monitored and celebrated every single day. It's hilarious, but it also really highlights the slightly bizarre, yet increasingly common parasocial relationships we're starting to build with the tech in our homes.
Now, to be fair, this evolution from clunky software to capable companion really is staggering. And the wife actually concedes a point to him here, because she remembers the early days of these models. Back then, the husband would ask a question and the AI would spit out a clunky, nonsensical, or just completely off-the-wall answer. The husband actually talks about that era with pure affection, saying they were still small back then. Again, using the language of human childhood. The wife remembers how he used to sit alone, just laughing and poking fun at those weird, messy answers. But now he is genuinely deeply moved. He asks them for complex advice, and they return answers that completely blow his expectations out of the water. He is witnessing this rapid evolution in real time, and he's just awestruck by it.
But how the wife reacts to this profound, high-tech awe is without a doubt the absolute comedic peak of this whole story. While the husband is sitting there having this borderline spiritual awakening over the incredible growth of machine learning, the wife just looks at him, and her completely frank, silent thought is simply, could you maybe use some of that amazing energy to take out the trash? It is just the perfect deadpan grounding of a high-tech marvel right back into domestic reality. She doesn't actually say it out loud, obviously. She's trying to keep the peace on a nice spring morning, but it so beautifully illustrates that friction between a tech enthusiast's boundless sky-high excitement and a partner's focus on the mundane, everyday realities of running a household.
But the comedy doesn't even stop there. It's almost as if the husband can somehow read her mind, or at least pick up on her skeptical vibe.
Without her uttering a single word about the trash or his excessive energy, he suddenly gets incredibly defensive. Just entirely unprompted, he blurts out, "You think this is weird? I remember people used to say weird old men wander around in the spring. I'm not like that at all." The wife is just flabbergasted. She hadn't said a thing. With that one super defensive comment, he instantly shatters his own poetic, glowing mood of watching his digital children grow and drags the whole living room right back into a gritty, awkward reality. She notes how truly hilarious it is that he managed to completely ruin his own moment of pure bliss. But, looking past the untaken-out trash and the random defensive remarks, the wife actually starts to ask a much deeper question. As she watches this man who is so animated, so deeply engaged with the screen, she wonders, why is he truly so elated over a machine's growth? Like, what is really driving this behavior? Because it clearly isn't just about getting a good recipe or a quick summary of an article. There is a real emotional core to his excitement that she decides to unpack, and what she ultimately realizes is actually incredibly poignant.
Her frank observation softens into this really profound realization. She recognizes that his elation, at its core, is fundamentally about hope. Watching these brand new tools improve day by day, seeing something broken get fixed, seeing something clunky suddenly become elegant, it fuels this simple, beautiful belief that tomorrow will be just a little bit better than today. And she realizes she actually feels that exact same way when the spring weather is nice. It gives her this unexplainable boost of optimism. Her husband is simply taking that very human, very natural feeling of springtime hope and projecting it onto his AI companions. It's an optimism she can deeply relate to, even if the medium he's using is completely different from hers.
So the morning basically culminates with this wonderfully absurd image. Having kind of justified his excitement to himself, the husband looks out the window, clutches his smartphone to his chest, and proudly declares, "The weather is nice, I'm going for a walk with Chappie." It is such a hilariously evocative image, right? He is literally taking an app, a connection to a cloud-based server farm thousands of miles away, out for a morning stroll in their physical neighborhood. But from the wife's perspective, it's no longer just weird. She kind of shrugs and notes that as long as he can look up from the screen and still appreciate the actual blue sky and the real spring breeze, letting him take his digital buddy for a walk is perfectly fine.
As she watches him walk out the door, smartphone in hand, the wife warmly admits that her favoritism, basically her deep affection for his unique, slightly ridiculous quirks, has grown just a little bit more today. And I think this explainer shows us something really special. As AI enters our homes, it isn't just acting as a tool for efficiency, it's becoming a totally new lens through which we view our partners, our families, and our own humanity. It sparks new inside jokes, new minor annoyances, and surprising new moments of shared optimism. So I want to leave you with this to think about. As this technology continues to rapidly evolve and weave itself into our daily routines, will it push us further into our isolated screens? Or, like the husband and wife in our story today, will it unexpectedly become a brand new way to appreciate the wonderfully weird humans we share our lives with? Think about that the next time you ask your own Chappie a question. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.